Today, we're going to talk about what happens when things just didn't go right. Do you have a plan B, a plan C, or onward? So, let's get into what could happen and how you could deal with moving forward with that. Hey there, I see you sitting in the shadows. Welcome to Keep Creating You. This podcast was created to bring Generation X women a plan and strategy for the next part of their life. Are you one of those women who lived in their 20s and 30s raising children, and you found yourself looking at your life and wondering, what's next? Then this podcast is for you. We discuss how to look at the next half of your life and decide what your next steps will be. Whether that is creating a business, starting a side hustle, or maybe you plan to stay in the career you love. How do you plan to get the most out of your life? How do you plan to keep creating you? Join me for this episode as we discuss a few steps for the next part of your life. All right, so plan B, plan C, plan F, plan H, whatever plan number you have. Life is actually just all about different plans, isn't it? We don't actually even have to have plan A ever pan out. Honestly, by the time anything actually pans out in my life, I am on plan S through Z. I hardly ever have anything work out from the beginning. I mean, just think about it. Even the basic idea of putting together something like easy, like dinner, right? Nothing ever comes out exactly the way you wanted it, not on the exact time that you wanted it. Maybe you thought you had butter in the house, but realized, oh my God, I don't. And you have to try to work around it, whatever it might be. Nothing ever seems to work out on the first try. And I'm not sure that we were ever meant to have something work out on the first try, right? I've been kind of thinking about this a lot because, I've really reinvented myself over and over again. And recently I've been reading a lot or listening a lot or looking into a lot about human design. And I found out recently through that research that I'm a projector. And I'm very interested in that because nobody else in my husband is a manifesting generator, my youngest son is a manifesting generator, and my oldest son is a manifester. So I'm the only projector here. I'm like the glue holding us all together, right? And, I don't really know enough about human design to really go into it. But the little bit that I have been reading just really kind of goes to show me that some of why I can't seem to settle down with a career of some kind or settle down with, I've never been destined for the 30-year sitting at an office job. I mean, even today, I am recording this on it's actually already July 6th. This episode's supposed to come out tomorrow. And instead of seated and comfy in my office, I am actually standing because I was like, you know what? I got to get this out. But what I'm saying is never does a plan ever come together on the first try, right? I'm all about shifting my ways and maneuvering and, I'm bored with this, or I don't like this any longer and I'm moving on to this direction or this direction. And it really feels like as long as I have that ability to have some freedom in my thought process and in the directions that I can go, that's really when I shine. Interesting part, when I was talking to a woman earlier today about my human design, she happened to make a mention that I happen to be really good at getting other people's stories out to the world. I'm really good at lifting them up and helping them, guide them into their stories. And yeah, that's kind of what I do, right? Like that's really kind of what a podcast producer, podcast manager would do, is get those stories out to there. But I'm going to go back even a little bit further. And I'm going to say that this was also maybe always my destiny based on being a projector in all of this. And also, maybe this was just how I was originally created. Again, this is kind of getting into the woo a little bit, and it's not really supposed to go too far into this. Like, this is just to show you that even though we have an idea of maybe where we're supposed to go, it doesn't always work out that way. We're thinking to ourselves, I want to go on this beautiful vacation and I'm going to plan out, oh my gosh, this is actually a perfect idea. Ever go on vacation with somebody and they have written an itinerary to the nth degree? I mean, seriously, I have gone on a vacation with an uncle or grandfather. I'm not even sure who exactly it was. And they had planned out every little bit of our vacation, what it was that we were supposed to do. I am so unlike that. Sure, I like to research. I am a researcher to the forever. Like, I am into it whole hog, right? I like to know what's around there to do or what I could do. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Nope. Does it mean that I could have planned to do it and then that morning woke up and said, nah, let's not? Yes, that's exactly me. I'm always changing my plan. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. That museum and that aquarium sounds like a fantastic time. Sounds like something wonderful to do. But you know what? This aquarium has, I don't know, some kind of special penguin that I would love to see. Let's go see those penguins. And we ran out of time and can't get to the museum. That's okay. I'm so flexible about things like that. That is just how I am. That is my plan J, right? It was never necessarily supposed to be about going to the museum or going to the aquarium. It was just, I'm on vacation or I'm planning to do something, and it's okay that I didn't quite get to where I needed to be. I am flexible about my plan B. If you have a plan B and that doesn't work, are you flexible enough to move on to plan C, D, E, F, and onward? A lot of times, this isn't necessarily something that we can control, right? Sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia of the details that it becomes just overburdening problem that we can't control. And we get to a point where we're just super disappointed and we can't see the forest through the trees. And I hate to say that analogy, but it's so totally true, right? For instance, if you are someone and things aren't perfect, things didn't line up exactly the way you wanted them to be. You had this idea in your mind of how it needed to be, and for whatever reason, it did not end up that way. How flexible are you about getting to the next plan, the next step? Are you upset that it didn't get there? Are you willing to compromise? Are you a go with the flow type person? And sometimes this is just your upbringing. This is just how you are, and you have to love and accept that. That is one thing that I actually even told a client just the other day. They were worried about something. And to me, it was not, to them, it's a big deal. And I respect that. To me, I just felt like it was not anything they could change, that they needed to love themselves, love the way that that particular thing was, and just move on from that. That's the way it is. Like, you just cannot change certain things in your life. Yeah, you could go on a diet and maybe choose to lose a few pounds, but ultimately your body kind of makes a little bit of its own decision on where you're supposed to be. I'm at that stage right now where I'd love to lose 10, 15, 20 pounds, but no matter how much I try, I feel like my body's just like, no, and it shuts me down. And I'm sure somebody out there is probably going to say, well, you just need to exercise more. You need to watch your carbs or keto or I don't know, whatever. But ultimately, I have moved on to plan B, right? I'm not going to worry about whether or not my weight is not perfect, whether or not I am not the strongest person in the house. I mean, heck, I live with I have 2 sons and a husband. I am definitely not the strongest person. My dog's probably stronger than me. And I just really feel like once you find out that plan A, plan B doesn't work for you, that as long as you're accepting of that and can move on from that, that's when you're really going to find happiness. That's when you're going to be happy that you aren't stuck in one spot. And when we can't see plan B through Z, which is fine if you can't see all the way to Z, but if you can't get past the fact that plan A didn't work and you are really upset about that, then you need to maybe take a step back and you need to think about what it is that's going on in your life and why and how you could change that. Because plan B isn't always going to work. And plan A definitely never works. Let's just get that out of the way. And then, sometimes it doesn't even come to fruition until you're way down the alphabet. And maybe you've already started double alphabet too, A, B, B, C, C, And that's okay. As long as you are trying, as long as you are continuing to move forward and continuing to grow, that's actually when you're winning. So I hope you get a chance to try a new plan this week, and I hope you keep creating you. Until next time. Thank you for listening to Keep Creating You. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like the show, I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. I would also totally appreciate it if you gave me a rating or a review. I'd love to know if this information is resonating with you. If you're looking for more information about myself or this podcast episode, you can find that over at kpcreativemedia.com/podcast. You can always find the links and resources mentioned on the show there. And if you're looking to start your own podcast, let me know. I'd love to help you. Let's talk about your idea. What's your next step in your life? Until next time, see you soon.